Now let's look at Japan. Their Prime Minister is stepping down. It's this man, Fumio Kishida. Today he made the announcement. Kishida belongs to the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, or the LDP. In September, they will hold a contest to choose the party leader, and Kishida will not run for that.
The most obvious first step to show that the Liberal Democratic Party will change is for me to step aside. I will not run for the upcoming presidential election. I will continue to support the new leader who will be elected through the presidential election as a comrade.
So this is how it works. Kishida steps down, a new party leader is elected. He or she becomes Japan's Prime Minister, but it raises a few questions. Like, why is Kishida stepping down? Who will replace him? Why will Japan have 4 prime ministers in 4 years? What is wrong with the country's politics? Let's look at Kishida first. He's 67 years old. He belongs to a family of politicians. He served as foreign minister from 2012 to 2017. In fact, he's Japan's longest-serving foreign minister. In 2021, he became prime minister. He succeeded Yoshihide Suga. He served 3 years in office, and those were tough years. There was the pandemic, 2 wars, the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and multiple scandals in Tokyo. Kishida vowed to tackle Japan's demographic crisis. He touted his new capitalism policies. None of it worked. Japan's economy suffered, its growth spluttered, the yen plummeted, and Kishida's ratings went down with it. When he took office, his rating stood at around 50%. Last month, it was down to 15.5%, the lowest for any leader in a decade. Many blamed his lack of charisma for all of this. So Kishida finally chose to resign. In theory, he could continue until 2025, but that wouldn't have helped anyone. So they'll have to find a replacement now. Who will that be? A lot of names are doing the rounds. The first is Shigeru Ishiba. He's a former defense minister, also the Secretary General of the ruling party, the LDP. Ishiba is seen as the strongest contender right now. But there are others too, like Digital Minister Taro Kono, the LDP Secretary General, Japan's Economic Security Minister, and Foreign Minister. They're also in the race. Now, if any of these two win, Japan will have its first female Prime Minister, the first ever. The country got its first Prime Minister in 1885. Since then, 64 men have served as PM, 64 Prime Ministers, all men. In 1955, the Liberal Democrats took control of the parliament, and since then they have pretty much ruled Japan continuously. The same party has been in power for almost 70 years now. The LDP gave Japan its longest-serving prime minister. That was Shinzo Abe. He ruled from 2012 to 2020. Now, 8 years may not sound like a long period of time, but in Japanese politics, it is. Most of their prime ministers last less than 3 years. Fumio Kishida was in office for 35 months. He's Japan's 8th longest-serving PM, so the bar is quite low. His predecessor, Suga, was in office for a year. And that tells you a thing or two about Japanese politics. The LDP may have ruled for decades, but people don't seem to trust the party anymore. There have been multiple scandals, like the siphoning of campaign funds, corruption allegations, and the party is linked to fringe groups. Plus, there's discontent over Japan's declining population. The economy, like we said, is struggling, and the debt is rising. The problem is, none of this shows at the ballot box, because Japan often has a low voter turnout and the opposition is quite weak. So despite all of these issues, the LDP sails through. It keeps winning elections. This time, though, the outcome may be different. Japan's political crisis is at a precipice. The LDP lost 3 by-elections in April. The general election is due next year in 2025, so it's a moment of reckoning for the ruling party. If the LDP does not clean up its act, it could lose control over a country it has ruled for 7 decades.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
Bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter.
We go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment.
So thank you for making Firstpost 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered and unvarnished.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
On the show today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What can we expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
Start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. The first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Aaron Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Washington.